Welcome back to my studio, also known as my bedroom. Today we're talking all about study units. I mean, why do you need a study unit? How cool they are, how fun they are. I mean, the list is endless, but how do you do a study unit? Is study units enough? Oh my gosh, I have all these answers. I'm gonna show you how I create study units in the simplest possible, easiest way ever. If you know me, you know that that's kind of my thing. It's kind of my thing to not get overwhelmed and not get bogged down. All right, so, and did you know that kids retain 45% more information if learned through a study unit than learned through like regular curriculum? I know, this is fascinating, isn't it? But before we get to that, of course, we got products of the day. And you know I'm doing a products of the year video or the best products ever video, but I got inspired today to show you all about study units. So let's talk about products of the day. Woo, stained glass. It's stained glass made easy. Have I used it yet? Nope. But doesn't it look fun? Totally looks fun. Next up, I got this book. I love this book. It's called The Wild Washerwomen. The Wild Washerwomen are coming. And what it is, it's a bunch of women who they're washerwomen. They wash clothes for a living. That's what they do. And all of a sudden their boss is so mean that they get tired of it. And they're like, you know what, let's quit. And they go on this rampage. They have a great old time. They're just enjoying life. And then they meet a bunch of men who are lumberjacks. And they decide, you know what, we're gonna clean these men up and some of us are gonna become lumberjacks. So it has a cool ending. I just like it. All right, another product. Let me bring you down here to show you. So this is, because one of the study units I'm gonna show you how to create is a Titanic unit. This is a Titanic game. So take a look at it. This is your puzzle and this is where these pieces are. So in order to solve this one, you would go up, 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 and this one would go up. I'm trying to remember how to solve it. This one would go over, over, over. Sorry, I didn't attach it back on. Goes and picks up these two guys here, right? So there's like some list. Picks them up. Let me do this right. I know I always like to rush things. And then there, and then this boat goes, because you can only go, you can't turn around. You can only go side to side and up and down. And there you go. You've solved it. All right, so those are the products of the day, except I have one more. I have one more really cool one that I forgot I made a long time ago. And I was on Etsy the other day, yesterday, and someone was like, we want to order more of this product. Can you list it again? And to be honest, I thought it was just forever listed. Like I didn't know that it renewed and had to renew. So yesterday I spent a good amount of time figuring Etsy out. And what this product is, I'm showing it on the screen. I created it so that older children who need to learn kindergarten skills, who need to learn, preschool skills, don't have a baby book in which to do it in. Because if you looked at the preschool books, if you've looked at the kindergarten books, they're baby books. And so it might be kind of, I don't know, I just think it's cooler if they can go and do it in a Minecraft themed book. So for $5, there you go. You get to print that off and use as often as you need. Okay, so, what do I have? Do I have advice at the end? I have a yay or nay. It's definitely a yay. I think it's super cool. Maybe you'll think it's super cool too. And let's see, advice of the day. So when you want to have big talks with your kids, if you want to have big talks with your children, one of the ways to do it is so for example, this is what I did a couple days ago, is got out some paper. I drew I separated it into, 6 sections. It was a sizable paper. And I said, how about we draw some landforms, or how about we draw some natural disasters? And I said, do you mind if I draw in this square? And he was like, no, that's cool. And so we started drawing together. And then I was able to say, hey, after we relaxed, he's all relaxed, our environment's good, our connection is good. And I'm like, hey, we got a move coming up. Are you worried about that at all? And then we were able to talk about that. Like what he's worried about, what I'm worried about. Like, yeah, I'm kind of worried about it too, because moving, it's kind of stressful for a little bit. And, but don't worry, we're going to bring all your favorite things with us and everything like that. So anyway, that's my advice for how to do that. Remember, coming up, products of the year. So now let's get into study units. Study units are very Charlotte Mason. They are very child-led. They cover a variety of different, I don't know, like for example, you're gonna do STEM in them. You can do, you're practicing motor skills. You're touching on like a lot of different topics in a study unit. The number one error I think someone would make when planning a study unit is A, to underestimate the power of a study unit, and B, to overthink it and get overwhelmed. I see some of these videos of these people have like huge stacks of books and da-da-da. For me, I would get super overwhelmed, like what? And if you make the topic too grand, if you're like, I want to do a study unit on the outdoors. No, don't you do that, lady. Don't you do that. Not the outdoors. What part of the outdoors? That is your topic. You need subtopics. So I have these super cool lesson planning things that I have been using. I mean, I just love them. I think they're great. And it is $20, but you get to use it forever. Like every year, you can use it to plan your study units. And planning study units is so much fun. So let me tell you, wait, how do you fit study units in? Let me back up. How do you fit study units in? What you can do is you can do study unit Friday. You can just do math, language, arts, and then beyond that, then do a study unit on history, geography. Remember, those are topics, they're not subtopics, okay? History, geography, or science, okay? So you can save. Now, our science curriculum, I've chosen it specifically because it doesn't have busy work, because it's a K through 4, which means I can do it anytime through there. So I've decided I'm gonna start in grade 2. Well, they'll be at different grades, but roughly grade 2, okay? And so it covers chemistry, biology, geology, astronomy, and physics. And it's just in 5 books. And they're textbooks, like it's a thing. They're not textbooks, it's whatever you've seen. If you've seen my science video, I'll attach it at the end, you can see exactly what I'm doing. So that gives me a lot of leeway in which to do study units. You can do study units 2 ways. You can just get inspired, you can get child-led. Like the other day, I saw this book. This book, which was one of the coolest Titanic, was because did you know it sunk last week? I mean in history, not literally last week. Like it sunk in history last week. And so I just happened to be at the library. Not happened, I go all the time. All right, once a week. And oh my gosh, and this is just such a great book on the Titanic. I mean, just because it's got the sea inside on every page is basically a sea inside, which I think is pretty cool. And so that's how I got inspired. Or you can look up like, hey, what are some grade 1 science skills that my kids need to be learning? Or something like that. And so I have we're gonna go through 2 different study units, right? Like I'm gonna create 2, it's not gonna take long. Don't worry, this isn't like the world's longest video. Like the other video I did about the best curriculum and the worst curriculum. Oh my gosh, editing that sucker. Oh, I didn't even look through it at the end, so I don't even know if there's errors. But so let's pick up a checklist. So for us, we're gonna do history. It's gonna be our topic, and our subtopic is going to be Titanic. And the other one is science is gonna be our topic, and the subtopic is going to be one of the skills I looked up for grade 1, which was so we're gonna do science, which is, we'll call it sun. Subtopic, sun. Okay, so now we got this page, okay? It's got subject, topic, and child. All right, and below it, it's got goals and overview, which I put studying the Titanic, and below that I put, okay, so just studying Titanic. Now, if I'm doing the science one, that's where I put the grade 1 skills, knows sun supplies heat and energy to the earth. So those are the 2 goals and overview of what we're studying. If I were doing 2 separate units, right? So I would never do like geology. I would have to choose something like rock formations or volcanoes on there. So you gotta get specific. So the next one is main text or pages. To keep things simple, I just put books. Educational books and storybooks. Now this is where you're gonna go to obviously the library, your library, and then the other library. So I went to my library, because I like educational and story. These two are stories, the story of the Titanic for children. This one is an actual storybook if you were a kid aboard the Titanic. And then I got Titanic Q&A and the mystery of the Titanic. So I also had another book of the Titanic, but I couldn't find it. But basically, so you're gonna go to the library, okay? But you're also gonna go to Google and say, what are some stories? Because I know that there is a really cool Titanic book where it's like a choose your own adventure. So what are some storybooks? Is that what you call them? Storybooks? Children's fiction about the Titanic. What are some children's fiction about the heat of the sun that discusses that? And then you will get a list and you can reserve them at the library, and when they come in, then add them to your pile. Okay, so you're gonna add them to your pile. So we're not overthinking it. Those are the main text and the main pages, and you do not have to sit down and write out what you're doing. You can if you want. You can if you want. And then it says additional text, which is like any books and articles. So this is for articles, would be used for, the example I gave here is like dinosaurs. Or scientific discoveries, whether you're doing like prehistory or humans or dinosaurs or things like that. They have, if you Google articles on dinosaurs or you write in dinosaurs and then hit news, up will come a bunch of great articles, and then you can write, you know, articles I've bookmarked or something under there, or that I've printed off, right? And you can add that to your pile, okay? So we're not, I know everyone's like, oh, let me organize this. You know my organization system? That's right. I put it in a pile. I put the articles down there. I put it all in a pile. I'm not gonna stress about this. I'm not overthinking it. It's not necessary. It is not necessary. If you love it and you wanna do it, oh, good for you. Just me, put it in a pile. Less pressure, less overthinking. All right, so let's go back to our list. The next one is multimedia. So images, videos, and animation. So again, I'm just following the prompts. These are super cool, this package I'm showing you, I created, it's $20, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's $20. So I'm telling you, use it for the rest of your life. I'm gonna show you some other cool things. It also has like a teaching rubric in it, so it's an evaluation rubric, which is very Charlotte Mason. That's how she would evaluate, I believe that's how she used to evaluate stuff. And it's got, you know, a bunch of different evaluation methods you can use if you wanted to. And plus it's got 19 different evaluation options you can do, like ideas for evaluations and stuff like that. If that's your thing. It's also got 19 project-based ideas you can do. Also has 19 was super special for whatever reason. What else did it have? 19 end of unit questions. Okay, so anyway, multimedia, back to here. And then I'm gonna search out and I'm gonna be like, okay, well this is, I put Peekaboo Kids. I know my writing's so great. I put Peekaboo Kids for if I wanted to do the science one, like understanding energy and heat for kids. And then I would Google that and come up with a video just to get a bunch of different areas in, and we could watch that for like 5 minutes, or go on Mystery Science and look at energy transfer or whatever it is, whatever it's called. And I could do that for the Titanic as well, and look up documentaries, things like that. Okay, now the fun part's the next page. The hands-on element. This is what Pinterest was born for. This is where you're gonna get your free printables. This is where you're gonna get your cool stuff. So for example, okay, so let's talk about, okay, so I'm splitting it down because remember, I'm creating 2 study units with you today. So normally I would do 1 for each, right? But we're doing 2 study units, and the one for Titanic, I'm gonna do critical thinking, have them redraw a Titanic that is unsinkable. Or another option could be, what is a way, if the Titanic was sinking today, what was the way that they could rescue all those people? Interestingly, about the Titanic, 2 facts that I found interesting. 1, all the bodies of the Titanic were shipped to Nova Scotia in Canada. And if people could afford, they shipped it home, and if not, there's a giant burial ground there for people who died in the Titanic. So very interesting to me, because no one ever talks about that, so I didn't know. And the second, I just happened to be watching a bunch of videos about Nova Scotia, and yeah, that's how I found out. Not because of all the millions of books I read, no. And the second thing that's interesting about the Titanic is that I believe that was the reason, I thought I read that was the reason now, that because back then they had this thing where if you were over 20,000 pounds, you were exempt from certain laws and restrictions regarding lifeboats, and then they changed it after that where you had to have like a spot for every person on the boat because of the Titanic. I believe that's what I read. Okay, so that's a side note. Okay, so what I'm also gonna do for a STEM project is I'm gonna give tinfoil and a Lego man and be like, all right, this Lego man can't get wet and he's gonna sail across this bucket of water or something like that. So let's see what you got going on. So that deals with motor skills, we're talking STEM, we're talking critical thinking. So study units deal with a lot of stuff besides the fact that when you are just reading books, you learn so much stuff you didn't know about a variety of different topics, a variety of different things. Another hands-on element would be, so on Pinterest, okay, so hands-on elements I found from Pinterest are, I found like crossword puzzles, vocabulary words, pictures for drawing, so a lot of different stuff like that. And then on the other side, for the science project, what you can do is you can recreate Ben Franklin's project. So I was reading in the Abeka books to my kids today, and in one of them it was talking about Ben Franklin when he was younger, and one of his first things is he wanted to see which colors attracted the sun more and would keep a person warmer. So he put a bunch of pieces of fabric of all different colors on the snow, left them for a few hours, and when he came back, the black one had sunk a lot more than the white one. The white one had sunk the least amount. So you can recreate that experiment. Rabbit's Trail's dealing with their sun unit, which is in their space study unit. She talks about taking a black piece of paper, construction paper, and then putting like rocks or stones or whatever, coins on top of it, and leaving it out in the sun and watching the color difference change. Also, you could do what I saw on Pinterest last night or a couple nights ago, was you can make a little tiny mini solar oven. You can, just with plastic wrap. Just with plastic wrap, and then make a little tiny marshmallow, a little piece of chocolate, and watch it melt. Super cool. Ever think how stuff melts in the car? I only know this because I have left many chocolate chips in the car and they melt without a doubt. But anyway, so next up we got, you can also include, under assignment or evaluation, I would include vocab words that you want to work on. Just because now, when I talk about goals for my kids, I want them to have real strong science, real strong math, and real strong vocab, plus passions. Those are my 4 goals for my children. Because I want them to have the vocab. The reason I want them is because I do not want them to be intimidated. I want them to be able to stand in any room in the world with anyone that speaks their language and understand what they are saying. So I don't want them to be intimidated by it. So vocab is very important to me. So I'm gonna put vocab words down here as well that I want them to take from both study units. Okay, and then you now have a study unit, right? Like you've got a study unit. All you need is the day in which you're going to do it. And I encourage you not to put it on a day. Don't be like, Tuesday the 25th, we're gonna do this. You can, but I prefer to school more organically, less stressfully, and it's less stressful for me if I have a routine as opposed to a schedule. So that's where this monthly focus calendar was invented, was so that you can use it any time of the year. So now I would put whatever month we're in, I don't even know. And we put it along here. We're in April. Are we in April? I think we're in April. It's a nice month. And so I would put, you know what, in June, I wanna focus on the Titanic. I wanna have the Titanic one ready. And that's what, you know, a couple Fridays during that month, then I'll decide that month when I want to do that study unit. So that's kind of my yearly planning regarding study units and everything. Okay? And so I'm telling you, this unit, it's got some cool stuff in it, and there you go, you have planned 2 study units. All right, super cool product of the day, super cool language arts product of the day. I think I might put it in my product of the year, I don't know. I guess if I don't know, that's a no. Look at this, I'm gonna show it to you. Ooh. See, it's super cool because you look at one side, it's got a bunch of words, and you look at the other side, it's got a bunch of pictures. You can come in, but you gotta say hi. You can come in, but you gotta, okay.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, thank you. Okay, so look at this game. So it's got all the words on one side, it's got all the pictures on the other side, and what it does is there's always a match. There's always a match, and you match it. So it's kind of like an I Spy, but with vocab. So you can do it as a team, you can do it against each other, whoever gets it first. Very fun, I just think it's pretty cool. It's by Super Genius. Can you say, please like and subscribe?
Please like to like.
And hit the bell for notifications.
Hit bell, you know, notification.